The following broadcast is intended for mature audiences. These are real people sharing very real, deeply personal experiences. This content may be considered triggering for others and for those who are sharing. The chat room is a privilege intended for discussions and sharing. You are not being asked to agree, but you are being asked to stay civil and refrain from personal attacks. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, welcome back to Am I Mental, a live weekly podcast where real people share real stories. We live in life with mental health issues and things that impact mental health. I am your host, E, and with us, as always, are the co-hosts, Bexy.
Greetings and salutations.
She changed it up. And C.
Hello.
All right, so we could use a little help. We actually do have some bills coming up here pretty soon. If you like what we're doing, please share our episodes. That's probably the best thing you can do to help us out. Share the episodes. Just share. Especially ones that resonate with you or you think will resonate with someone else. We've been accredited with at least a couple of lives having been saved where people decided to not kill themselves and instead go and get help after listening to this podcast. One, in particular, just by hearing that this podcast existed, made that change. And we've impacted a number of other people who thought they didn't have anything going on, who were like, wow, this person sounds just like me. Then they went and got therapy and found out, yeah, they needed it. And their lives are much better now because of it. But if you want to help us out better, with our bills, please go to amimental.net/donate. There's a number of ways you can donate. And we also have some merchandise. You can buy a mask, t-shirt, hoodie, tote bag, stickers, whatevs. We got it. And if there's anything in particular you'd like, let us know and we'll go ahead and create it. With that out of the way, Robert, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what we're talking about tonight?
Hi, I'm Robert. The end. I'm Robert. I'm here to discuss just addiction, really, and the several different ways it's manifested itself in my life. Primarily through meth, alcohol, and people, sex, relationships, and toxic relationships at that. And just, I really wanted to share, I guess, my journey from like how, the domino effect of like tackling one led to like, working on them all and just being, starting at a very hopeless, dark place almost a year ago to where I am now, which is very hopeful and very looking forward to the future and just happy.
That's awesome. Now, we love dwelling on the good, but we're going to dig into the bad and how you got to the good. Because I think that that's important, to know where you were and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so really where, I guess, this journey of self-discovery started was, like I said, about a year ago. Almost a year ago, October 8th, I was arrested. Routine traffic stop, except it wasn't quite so routine because I may have had a little bit of meth in my car at the time. And so it was a felony amount. And so I got to spend 2 glorious nights in the Travis County jail, where, maybe I tend to minimize things, And that being said, it wasn't that bad, honestly, because like I was coming off of meth, so I just slept most of the time and woke up to like a bag of food being thrown at me, like, I don't know what kind of fucking meat it was. It was bologna. It looked like bologna. It smelled like death. Like, I refused to eat it. I was like, I'm not eating that. Like, I'll eat the bread. I'll eat whatever this thing that resembles processed cheese is, and this apple. Like, that I will eat. And so I pretty much just slept, woke up to eat, and that was it, right? Then I was released. Before I went into jail, my life was pretty segmented. Like, I was living separate lives, so to speak. I had like my family life, I had my friend life, I had my work life, and I was pretty much being who I thought I was being somebody different with all those different like subsets, right? And so, and then I'm with secrets. It was secrets upon secrets. Secrets. My secrets included being a meth head, being a sex addict, being very promiscuous, being gay. That was a huge secret that I was carrying around for a long time. But when I went into jail, I had all the secrets. When I got out of jail, didn't have very many of those secrets anymore, because when I got out, like, my family knew, my friends knew, and work knew, right? And so when I got out, I got locked up on a Thursday. I got out on a Saturday morning. I was like, just, convinced my life was over, right? I was totally convinced my life was over, that I was going to, go to work at McDonald's. I was like, okay, so I lost my job. Like, what am I going to go do? Like, well, I can't, my job's kind of specialized. I can work at McDonald's. Like, yeah, I can work at McDonald's, right? I can totally, sell some, McNuggets, or probably, eat one or two, on the side or something, I could, sneak a nugget here and there, stick some fries. I started planning out, what am I going to do? Because I have to support myself, right? No one's going to help me. No one's going to help me at all. I just felt defeated, all right? It really probably was, rock bottom, even though I try to pretend like it wasn't, all right? Because in my world, everything's always fine, right? I never wanted to admit that, things weren't ever fine. I was always going to make it somehow. But, then at that point, I was like, I'm fucked, right? So, met up with work. Everyone else was, very supportive. My family was supportive. They were my mom, it was the worst. So I remember talking to my mom on the phone, and she's like, what happened, right? And I was like, well, I'm addict, Mom. She's like, that's not you, Robert. I was crying, right? And that really stuck with me.
Well, we actually already have a comment relative to what you're talking about, or relevant to. From Ivania, to be fair, not many people stand up and scream, "I'm a meth head!" from the mountaintops. And that was after we had a discussion about am I mental ball gags and dildos in the chat. Yeah.
Which I have to stop very briefly to note, I love the title of the podcast. And for those wondering, the answer is yes. Yes, I am.
Yes. We're all here because we're not all there.
But here's the secret. Nobody is.
Exactly.
And once you recognize that nobody is and everybody has their issues, life gets so much easier. Again, just like convince us out my job. I had to go to work. They wanted to talk. I'm like, okay, here comes the axe, right? So I was presented with an opportunity because of my job and what I do. It was kind of like quasi, not high profile, but I was somewhat in the public eye, somewhat, right? Like in the periphery, right? And so obviously I couldn't maintain that position anymore. So they offered me another one. And the position was like, I just remember thinking like, okay, if they don't kick me out, like, maybe they'll move me somewhere. I'm like, oh no, not that one department with that one person. That would be total hell. Guess where they moved me?
That one person, that would be total hell.
Yeah. Right, working right under that person. I was like, fuck, right? But at that point, I was like, okay, if this is what I got to do, this is what I got to do. Because like I was facing the prospect of like not only losing my income, but losing my pension, losing my benefits, just losing like everything, right? That I've like put years into. And so I went for it, right? I was like, okay, let me go with this. And they were like, okay, we want you to like reach out to this workers assistance program, talk to them about your problems. I admitted to them like I have a meth problem, right? I have a problem, I have a drug problem. They got me in touch with this workers assistance program, which then, so I had to go through like 3 different like assessments, right? Over the course of all this. Pretty much like kind of describing like, well, what was your drug use like? Like, very detailed, like when did it start? When did it change? Like everything, right? And that was really the first time I got a sense of like, yo, I really do got a drug problem, right? Like I've been doing a lot of different shit for a very long time. And in my head, I was never consciously aware of like just how prevalent it had become in my life, right? Because I just assume like people do drugs, right? Like everybody does drugs, right? Like a little drugs here and there. Come to find out, like no, not everybody does, right?
Nah.
Not really. I mean,
it's like for me, I did pot and I did shrooms, and that was it. And I only did shrooms a couple of times, but I got to the point of wake and bake. But I mean, pot was easy to quit. I was just like one day, I'm like, you know what? I'm done, and I've been done since. Yeah. So, but again,
awesome.
Pot's really not that addictive. I mean, it's I don't think you get like a chemical addiction to it. It's more of a psychological one, which is easier to overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say certainly for me, I don't believe I was like physically addicted to meth. I think mine was more of like a psychological addiction. Like I had started using it, and I use all drugs and alcohol to like really escape reality. Like I was just not. Excuse me. I was unwilling to like face the actual world that I live in, right? I wanted to carefully curate my world to be my exact dream, my exact fantasy, my exact, definition of what it should be. And if something in my life, whatever it was, maybe somebody's actions, maybe somebody's words, whatever, if it didn't narrowly fit my idea of what my reality should be, like, I just avoided it. I deflected it. I just totally like blocked it out, right? And so drugs and alcohol became a major way for me to do that,
So you basically were trying to make your world fit into a blurry, fuzzy lens.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, that doesn't fit. I'm like, I can't see it now if I'm high. Right?
Problem is it's still there when you sober up.
Absolutely. And so after this assessments, they recommended that I do intensive outpatient program for IOP for substance abuse. And so I did that, and let me tell you, my first time it it was my IOP cherry that they popped, right? And so like I didn't know a lot of shit. I didn't. Right. I was really, really ignorant. And so I was lost like my first 3 to 4 weeks probably. Like just in a lot of like the source and materials and the terms, I was like, huh? Like, what you talking about, Willis? Like, I really don't know what's going on.
Do I really belong here? I don't think this is imposter syndrome. I really don't know what the hell's going on.
Like, there were references to books, and I was like, surely they're talking about the Bible. This must be the Bible. And I come to find out, like, no, it wasn't the Bible at all. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I certainly didn't have one. I certainly didn't have this book that we were getting all this shit from, right? So, IOP was like a learning curve, but it was great because what it started to do for me was get me into practicing how to talk to people, right? Because I was always, I had major anxiety, major shame from being gay, and also majorly insecure, right? Like I was not insecure totally not secure in who I was.
And yet your pen name, I know what your pen name was when you used to do writing with a certain friend of ours.
Okay, I don't remember what my pen name was. What was it?
Yeah, I'm not dropping that on the air. I don't want to get canceled. But let's just say, it was a British slang for a cigarette.
Oh.
And she was slang for a witch.
That's right, I forgot. Proudly. So, and I would also like create this character. And I'm probably doing it right now, like becoming a character to like mask like the fear and the insecurity, right? Because I really was uncomfortable like talking to people, connecting with people, being vulnerable with people, right? And so IOP really got me in the practice of starting to do that, right? And it was like pulling teeth really to get me to do some of the stuff. Like I remember at one point they're like, have you gotten a sponsor yet? And I was like, no. They're like, okay, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna like put your name out there and you're gonna get a sponsor. I'm like, all right. And so like at this time everything was still Zoom because COVID. And so I was joining these like 12-step program meetings and pretty much just like kind of going in acting like bait essentially, like, okay, I'm gonna go in there, I'll put my name and my number, and then I'm gonna like bounce, and someone's gonna come and have a sponsor in like 2 minutes, right? Like that was my plan, and it worked like that, right? You actually have to like ask someone to be a sponsor. Like you can't just be like, "Hi, I need a sponsor." Mic drop, and then like expect someone like to pick you up, right? So
they just kick the mic off the stage. Try again.
Right. Go like crowd surfing so nobody catches you. So then eventually the therapist in the program had to like step in and do some like divine intervention and connect me with someone. And that's really where like the work started, right? My sponsor really helped me in just kind of starting to accept reality and stop like hiding, right? So I've been hiding my whole life, right? I've been hiding for my whole life. But I will say, just step back really quick. Once after I was arrested and like the secrets of my drug use was out, like with everybody, that following Thanksgiving I came out to my parents, and just not having, and that went mixed results, right? It was fine.
Like, hey, not only am I a drug addict.
Yeah. No, I'm minimizing it. It was mixed results. My dad was like, duh. And my mom, he really was. He was like, duh.
So it was like that, the Captain Kirk meme cartoon where he's like just sitting there all, aw. Totally.
Yeah, like that.
Like, no way. Really? Didn't know.
I was worried about my dad, so getting that response from him was like a little like, oh, okay, like this will be all right. My mom, however, was a bit more solemn, was a bit more drawn, was a bit more like
My baby!
shooketh by it, right?
Shooketh. I love that one.
I mean,
I love it.
I think she's finally come around, thank God. But it was a little like, I think there were some other things going on with the family at the time, so I think her world collapsed with all of this, right? And it makes me kind of go back to some of the other issues I like to touch on later. Like, certainly my parents were role models in how my way of thinking came about, right? Like, her world shattered, and here I am, like, curating mine as well, right? So, with my sponsor, help me up and up. He really was just like dragging teeth, and he was like calling down all my shit, right? Because I don't know about anybody else, but like, I think I'm perfect. And everything I do is perfect, and everybody just kind of wrongs me and just like, well, I want everybody to do what I want them to do. Like, life would be so perfect if you just do what I say. But that's just not the world we live in, right?
Right.
So working the program really kind of ingrained in me, like, you need to live in reality. You need to live in this world, in this universe, and you need to play your part, right? And that reminds me of this analogy to like a stage play that they make in one of these programs, where in life we're trying to be like the director and the set builder, the script writer. Like, you're trying to play all the parts, trying to be the orchestra. Like, we're trying to do it all, right? But we're not. We're just that one singular actor with that one set of lines, and that's it. And that's pretty much life, right? Like, we can only play our part. We can't control other people, right?
Yeah, you're not the director.
Right. At all. I mean, sometimes it'd be nice if I was, but...
Man, if I was the director, there'd be a lot of unhappy people. just saying.
Some drama, right? And certainly I'm capable of creating my own drama. In fact, most of my drama is self-created, for sure. And so,
not to be too rude, but we do have a couple of comments here that we'd like to share. Bexy or C, you guys want to jump in on this, or you guys? I see they're muted. They might be laughing at some of the jokes that were dropped. All right, so Ivania, when my son came out as bisexual, I was like, and I've known since you were 6. And then also said that you are perfectly imperfect, booby.
Did he get that nickname from Ivania?
Yes, that's what Ivania just said that. You are perfectly imperfect, booby. Yeah, she's been egging me to call you that too, so yeah, there you go.
It's been a while since I've been called booby. I miss it.
There you go. You got it.
That was a total lie. I hate it.
Yeah, but you can't hate Ivania. I mean, you can. It's just really hard.
You can.
You
Let's be clear. You can hate her. Like,
but it's more like you hate the fact that she tends to be right. If she makes...
Don't tell her that. Don't let her know that.
She knows. She knows.
You hear that popping sound? It's her head.
It just hit the ceiling. She can't get out the door now.
Splat.
But yeah, we definitely also want to talk about love addiction, because I know that's something we've never touched on in this podcast.
Yeah, and certainly it wasn't until I was able to start dealing with the drug dependency that I was able to move into other areas. The love addiction was harder to shake. Let me tell you, it is harder to shake than meth addiction. At least it has been for me. With love addiction, I found myself obsessively, compulsively chasing after this one guy, right? Oh yeah, by the way, I think I can't make that joke anymore that I'm gay, can I? Can't tell the bag.
Okay. I don't know which joke it was, but okay.
No, it was a bad joke. I was going to do it, but anyway. But yeah, I found myself drawn to somebody that it was a toxic relationship. It really was. And even using the word relationship seems weird because we were never really together. It's kind of one of those it's complicated relationships, but not
Like a little
but
bit more
like I
than
said,
friends with benefits, but not quite a relationship.
Yeah. And ultimately what it boiled down to was it was a drug relationship, right? Like, yeah. C's got it. She's like, oh, one of those. Um, it really was, like, I mean, we met as a hookup. I was not like obviously I was attracted to this guy, but like I really was like, okay, one and done. I'm never gonna see him again, right? And they started hitting me up, and I was like, okay, like and it started off as more of like a friendship. Well, and sometimes you can be friends with someone when you're just like doing drugs and having sex, but a friendship started to emerge from that, and then at some point, I started to catch the feels, y'all. Right, I started to catch the feels. And then I was like denying it, like, no, I don't have no feelings. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm cool. So, it really became like a very like high drama relationship where he was under threat of like going back to prison because I like to pick them, and he was an ex-felon or whatever you want to call him, ex-con. Um, he was out on probation. Does that sound about right? But it was about to be remote, and so like the total duration of a relationship was like just this threat all the time. He was always going to court. He was always going to court, and I was like, oh, he's gonna go to prison. I'm not gonna see him ever again. Like I was always under threat of like losing him, right? And then he didn't have a job, couldn't hold anything down, and so in my head, I was like, he needs me, right? Like I have to help him. Like, I have to help him. Poor, sad, pathetic, what's his face? Like, no one's there for him, right? And then there were times that the police were involved that like went and like swooped in. And so it was a lot of like me dropping everything to take care of him, right? Like
I'm your knight in shining armor.
Right, yeah, I'm your rescuer, right? But he didn't like reciprocate like that, right? Like for all of my attempts to grow closer to him, he was always taking like 20 steps back. And so it ended up being this like almost like cat and mouse game, with him being the really fast mouse, and me being like the slowish cat, right?
So more like Pepe Le Pew chasing the cat.
Yeah.
Deling, 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 and
If he had a meth pipe.
instead of an exhaust pipe.
And so, and then at one point, I really put a great emphasis on like just like I always told him like all you have to do is be upfront with me, right? Like you don't have to lie to me and like whatever. Well, then I called him in a lie, and then like that just kind of like blew my world apart. I was like, how could he lie to me? And blah 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 blah, blah, right? And I was like,
he's an addict that really isn't that into you.
Yeah. And he himself was living a double life, right? Because I mean, at that point, he then had a girlfriend, and then moved in with her, and it was. But instead of letting it go and moving on to someone else, I decided I'm going to get him back. And how I was going to do that was by like dangling drugs in front of him. Like, look, I have drugs. You like drugs? Come over, all right? Like, essentially, I like baited him, right? And it worked. Right. And certainly, I really become a villain in this a little bit. I'm like, which Disney villain am I? But certainly, like, he's certainly no angel at all. I mean, he's certainly manipulating you to get drugs. But, despite everything, we did have an affection for each other, which kind of showed itself in weird ways. Like, we did a lot of hand-holding, which I never did a lot of hand-holding with anybody, Prior to him, I was just like, I'm gonna fuck you and leave, right? Like, get out of my house.
So basically a pump and dump.
Yeah. This is a come and go situation. I came, you go. Like, that was it, right? Like, I really was not interested in having anybody around. But this guy, there was something about the way things were playing out that fit into this narrative in my head that I could not let go, right? And so So this kind of brings us up to the arrest. So like just kind of going back, this craziness, like me just chasing him and him like kind of like fleeing, but then coming back and just back and forth and on and on and on and on, right? And then the arrest happened, and then I started seeking treatment and started like, you know, getting into recovery. Because I was under the threat of going to prison for this drug arrest, I was not willing to like use drugs. Well, I have to mention this. I wasn't willing to use drugs at the time. My plan was when I started IOP, like, okay, here's my plan.
Okay.
I'm gonna do shit. I'm gonna get this shit done, and then I'm gonna go back to the same bullshit I was doing before. Like, I can't wait to get my mess back. I got my pipe ready, but like until then, I can't do any of it. Right? That was my plan going into this. Right? That was plan A. Then I got out of IOP, started working on my sponsor, and I was like, is that really the life I want to live, right? Like, just kind of being, like, miserable. Because with the drugs, as well as this person, and this is how I started to realize this person was like a drug to me. Because I had a point of reference with meth, right? Like, it became to where, like, anytime there was any prospect of him, like, on the horizon, I had to drop whatever I was doing to go chase it, right? Like, it was always going to be like, you know, I'm going to go get with him. It's like the best time ever. I'm going to have the greatest time. We're going to, like, connect. We're going to fall, like, madly in love and, like, be with each other forever. But that's never what happened. Much like meth.
It's like, I'm going to bang him so great that he's no longer going to be bi.
I'm going to bang the straight out of you. But it really was like the same thing with...
I just thought of a horrible joke. Pray the gay to stay. Oh, that was so inappropriate. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it.
But it really was like math. Like especially towards the end. Like by the end of the math, like I was kind of over it already. And not to sound arrogant, but I kind of had known at that point that when I was ready to be done with it, I would be done with it. The problem was at that point, I didn't know how to be done with it, right?
Right.
And so every time I went to go use, it was like, this is going to be the hottest, greatest time ever. And then it never, ever was. I was always like, man, I could have had a B8 right now instead. I really could be doing like anything else in the world besides like what I'm doing right now with this math. And that's kind of, so just having like that realization that like this person and my compulsive need to like be with him and do everything, leave work, leave friends, go broke, whatever, in service of like chasing after him in this like love, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like that's when I knew like, I mean, I already kind of knew like this isn't healthy. But that's when I'm like, this is a straight up addiction, right? And so that, you know, and so our paths started to diverge, like me and wanting to be in recovery and him still being a very active addict, right? And we had a few blow ups, and one of the last ones, it really came down to him choosing, like, I was very resolute, like, I'm no longer enabling you. I'm no longer going to like do anything to help your addiction. And him, despite my sincere desire for that not to ever happen ever again, put me in a position to do that. And like, I just realized like, you're literally choosing drugs over me. Like, that's how addicted you are. I'm like, noted, right? And so that's why I decided like, at the urging of my sponsor have been urging me for months, like, cut him out, cut him out, cut him out. I'm like, no, I can't.
But I can fix him.
Absolutely. I can rescue him, and he'll be a knight in shining armor instead of this gator in the moat. Right? Or a frog in the moat, whatever.
Who put the barracuda in the life well?
Right. But I really was just like, I cannot live without him. And then it really came to the point of like, well, what are you going to choose, Robert? Are you going to choose your recovery, or are you going to choose him? Because he's certainly not choosing you. And it was like one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make was to like block him and just avoid anything having to do with him, like any communication. We were on each other's like social media, which at that point I was like, okay, I need to cut this shit out too. Like I really started to like put up roadblocks between me and him. And honestly, when I started doing that, like my recovery improved as I like lost focus on him and then turned it towards like, cleaning my shit up, so to speak. But then, anytime he came back into the orbit, I mean, I could only resist so long, right? So I think the first one was like 3 weeks, and then I like shot out like a little "Are you there?" text, like "Are you alive? How are things going?" And then that just like threw me into a tailspin again. There's just like this constant like just crazy cycles of like I'd be without him and do really well, and then just the minute like his presence was back in my life, like everything would just turn to shit, right? Like, because that was how strong my addiction was. I started seeking, so I made it through step work and was really good. No. So I think at one point I blocked him for like a really, like the longest time, right? Like, I'm going to block him. Like, first it's been a few weeks, I was like a month, I was like, okay, I'm blocking him. I'm not going to communicate with him at all. And during that time, he went to prison, right? And so on my birthday, I was like, it's my birthday. Like, surely I can just check and see how he's doing, right? And that's when I figured out, oh, shit, he's in prison, right? And I was kind of like in this weird, like, place, because, like, that was always a looming threat, right? That, like, he was going to go to prison. Now it's like, he finally did. He finally went back to prison. And it was like, and by that point, like, he'd been in prison for like a couple of months already. So I was like, all right, the world's still spinning. I'm still here. Like, it was just kind of weird, right? And that's when I like decided, I was like, okay, even him being in prison and me like still losing my shit because now he's in prison, blah, blah, blah. Like I peeked, right? I peeked into that window of where he was, and even just peeking like threw me into like a tailspin. I'm like, I need to work on this if I'm gonna stay clean, right? Like, He is my for sure ticket back into active addiction. Like, and at that point, I started to see how life could be good, because the first few months of like recovery, I really was like a whiny baby. I was like, the sky's so gray all the time. There's no vibrancy in the world. All the joy's gone in life. I'm like, woe is me, right? Like, everything was just like, wah, 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 right? Like, everything. And then I remember, and I really was just like, shoot me, right? Everything just sucks. Just shoot me. But then I remember at one point, maybe like around the 5 or 6 month mark, I was out with some of my litter mates. Those are the people that I attended IOP with. We're tight. Okay. We support each other. They're great. I love them. I love my litter mates. We were out at a restaurant here in town, just out in the patio, like just having chips and queso, right? And prior to this, I remember thinking like, how am I going to enjoy things again, right? Like, how am I going to enjoy like sitting at someone's house and just hanging out and watching TV, like without alcohol, right? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Like a lot of like my social life. And this is where I realized where alcohol had been such a major addiction and component of my life, because my majority choice was meth, right? But alcohol had been such a stable force, right? And I was more of a binge drinker, right? That like, in the absence of alcohol, I was like, I don't know who the fuck I am, right? Because I'm like the fun drunk, right? Like, I'm gonna drink like a case of beer and like fucking entertain like this whole party tonight, right? Without the alcohol, I'm like, I'm just boring, right? Like, I'm boring, I'm dull, like, I don't know who I am. Okay,
so I've only known you sober. You are anything but boring and dull. And actually, go for it, C.
I was gonna say, Vanya, like 4 minutes ago, said, "Real talk, I had no idea men thought this way too."
But I'm going to rescue them, and I'm going to fix them and heal them. Yeah.
Yes, she also said, I wanted to save you from her. I have many adjectives to describe that bitch.
That was about
Yes.
one of my exes.
Yes.
As I said, I wanted to save my that one ex that you absolutely detest to Ivania. And she's like, I wanted to save you from her. I have so many adjectives to describe that bitch. And I said, my favorite is X.
Ariel just piped up and said, it definitely don't sound like a dull person.
Exactly.
And if you were a dull person, Ivania wouldn't be your friend. I mean, let's just be honest.
True. I mean, we have a certain skewed sense of humor.
Yeah, you kind of have to with her.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, otherwise you would just, like, collapse.
Yep. Ooh. Yeah, and 4 just dropped out. Should we describe my ex, bitch? Man, you talk about the devil with a period. And I mean,
Oh
she
my
has
God,
periods.
the lion, the witch, and the audacity of that bitch.
Agreed.
Fuck. Sorry. That one gets me angry.
Yeah. And I had to deal with that, like, in real time, helping 4 through it.
I can't imagine that. And you know what? I'm glad that you were there for him.
Yeah. Long and short, 4's ex-wife weaponized his children against him to the point where he legally can't even see them right now, just through the sheer amount of lies. And then when she got full custody, she wouldn't even stay around to be a mom to the kids. She dumped them off on her parents. Just anything that she could do to hurt this guy, she did. He's one of my best friends. And yeah.
You know what? I'm not surprised people like that exist. Not surprised at all.
And then Ivani just asked, lava tube her? That could go for quite a few people.
Lava what?
Lava tube. So, I grew up in a volcano, used to have an active volcano. The volcano's dormant, but not extinct. It still vents every couple of years. It still has lots of earthquakes. There's definitely there's a hot spring on it, so there's definitely magma still near the surface. The thing is that there's a lot of lava tubes. Basically, it's like when the lava's flowing, the top part of it will cool and form a rock-hard crust, but the underneath is still hollow where the lava's still flowing. And these things could go really, really deep. And they sometimes have little holes in them about the size of a body. If you fall into one, you will never, ever be discovered.
That sounds cool.
Now, there's a
like
good
the
place to hide a
perfect
body.
place- the perfect place to dispose of a body.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's exactly what.
yeah, and they could be a couple hundred
The
feet.
exact location of said lava tube.
No, it's like thousands and thousands of acres worth of lava tubes, and
Where?
way northern California.
Interesting.
All around Mount Shasta, there's some around Mount Lassen. You go up into Oregon, Ashland has them. All the major volcanoes have them. It's just the way that they are, especially the stratovolcanoes. And, I mean, we're talking hundreds of feet deep. So, if they fall, they are shattering so many bones, they won't be able to get out.
I don't want them to get out.
Now, here's the thing. There's a fire that was burning. I don't know if it's still active or not, but there was the lava fire, and it nearly caused my hometown to have to get evacuated on the north side of it. They got the fire, they extinguished it, they flew overhead with thermal imaging to try to find any hot spots, didn't find any, left. A couple days later, the fire came roaring back. The fire had fallen into the lava tubes, burnt the vegetation underground, found another hole, shot up, and continued burning. Happened twice that they had it extinguished and it came roaring back because of the lava tubes.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
You know what a nightmare that is? Like, did we get it this time for sure? Define
I'm back
sure.
Boom. Yeah.
Our
Boom.
thermal imaging isn't finding anything, and everything's kind of smoky because that's just what happens after fire. It smolders for a while. We hope we got it.
And why do people still live here?
Oh god, it's beautiful.
Oh.
Like, seriously, it's a beautiful area. I'll send you some images.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like a great place to hide a body, but that's about it.
Well, the lava tube areas, you don't really want to live there, but there's other parts around the mountains that are just beautiful to live in. And the ground's more stable, because like a lava tube, if it decides, cave in, well, there goes the school, or there goes the fire department, or there goes the police station, or there goes your business, or your home. Yeah, so...
There you go.
Yeah, you typically don't build on them.
Boring.
You're just walking, all of a sudden you just fall.
I could imagine that could happen. I mean, they're like sinkholes, because I mean, like, sinkholes exist, and it just takes a while for it to cave in.
Right.
Like, you can actually use drones to locate sinkholes, and they could take 50 years before they collapse. But you'll know. Actually, you typically know if you build your house on a sinkhole, because you start getting these weird cracks in your ceiling and along the walls, and all the joints and stuff start to shift, and the windows start to no longer fit in the frames right. There's warning signs.
That's not just foundation work.
Ivanya's got jokes.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
it's a joke.
yes. After the lava tube her comment, she said, "Oh, I remember that one. 4, I'm so sorry." And 4 says, "Karma has a way of rearing its ugly head." And Ivania says, "I hope so, and if not." 4 says, "She will lose everything when my daughters figure out the truth. Karen needs to be lava tubed."
The irony of the name Karen.
Yes.
just saying.
Ivania, my blood was boiling during that episode. There are so many predators that get away with abuse, and it's largely in part because of shit like that.
Yep.
4 says, "Straight up throw her ass in the volcano." I said, "She's dead, Jim."
Then Ivania said, "I thought only virgins got thrown in volcanoes. I'll volunteer."
And once again, I want to take I'm going to take a minute and say, we on Am I Mental do not condone
Yes.
plotting.
We do not condone revenge, violence of any sort. There's a legal system. Please try to use it.
Yes.
It doesn't
But
always
we do
work
have
out
jokes.
but we do have jokes. It's a coping mechanism. It may not be the healthiest coping mechanism, but it is a coping mechanism. And I've always found humor to be great because it allows you to actually have the tough conversations, because it takes the venom out of this viper, so to say. You know, like the really awful joke, how many officers does it take to change a light bulb? We don't know. They're too busy beating the room for being dark. Now, that is a very, very awful joke, but it allows for a conversation to come about because of it. Conversation that needs to be had. So, yeah.
Right.
Now that we've done that tangent.
My favorite. I love tangents.
Tangents are great.
Squirrel.
So,
Oh.
you were getting to that point of you needed to realize that you had to cut him out. He's in prison.
Yeah. He's in prison, and that's when I decided this is my one good opportunity to, like, shake him, so to speak, right? And to really kind of delve into, like, what is really going on with this relationship, right? Because it didn't make sense, right? It really didn't make sense. Like, yeah, it was cute. Yeah, it was like...
I mean, if he was using you for drugs, it makes sense. It sucks because you're too good a person for that. You're too nice.
I mean, but I was using him too. I mean, let's not discount my part, all right?
All right.
Like,
That's fair.
Enabling him, like, I got drugs, all right? Like,
Right.
I'm not totally innocent in this, but I really just knew, like, okay, now the decision's taken out for me. Like, I have no control over whether I see him or talk to him or anything, right? Like, he is in prison. Like, this is forced, right? And in many ways, that was a blessing. So that's when I knew, like, for as destructive and dysfunctional as his presence is in my life, this is my opportunity to work on that, right? And so I started seeking out another kind of fellowship that kind of deals with these kind of issues regarding, like, relationships and sexual relationships. And what I ended up doing was taking a questionnaire, which I have now, that we can maybe take together if anyone's interested.
All right.
As I took this questionnaire, I realized, yes, I do have a problem, right? So let's go down some of these questions really quick. Have you ever tried to control how much sex to have or how often you would see someone? Do you find yourself unable to stop seeing a specific person even though you know that seeing this person is destructive to you? Yes. Do you feel that you don't want anyone to know about your sexual or romantic activities? Do you feel you need to hide these activities from others, friends, family, coworkers, counselors? Yes. Do you get high from sex and or romance? Do you crash? Yes and yes. Have you had sex at inappropriate times, inappropriate places, and or with inappropriate people all the time? Do you make
I mean, that just sounds like fun with that one. I'm just saying. the risk of getting caught, man.
I mean, I had sex at work. I would leave work in the middle of the day to have sex. Like, yeah.
I covered for a manager who went and had sex because her husband just sold a multi-million-dollar house and he got 3% commission. I was like, yeah, you better go have sex over that. I got this. You get out of here.
Do you make promises to yourself or rules for yourself concerning your sexual or romantic behavior that you find you cannot follow all the time? Have you had or do you have sex with someone you didn't want to have sex with? Yeah, a lot. Do you believe that sex and or a relationship will make your life bearable? Yeah. Have you ever felt that you had to have sex? Oh, yeah. Do you believe that someone can fix you? 1,000% I believe that and probably still do. Do you keep a list, written or otherwise, of the number of partners you've had? I used to, but then ran out of paper.
Wow.
At this point, it's just a big number. I don't know what it is. Do you feel desperation or uneasiness when you're away from your lover or sexual partner? Yeah, I did. Have you lost count of the number of sexual partners you've had? Already established that. Do you feel desperate about your need for a lover, a sexual fix, or future mate? Yes. Have you or do you have sex regardless of the consequences, such as threat of being caught, the risk of contracting herpes, gonorrhea, AIDS? Yes. Do you find that you have a pattern of repeating bad relationships? Not yet.
I just keep repeating with this one person, but not others.
That's true. Actually, yes. Fuck, that's a yes. Do you feel that your only or major value in a relationship is your ability to perform sexually or provide an emotional fix? Absolutely. Do you feel like a lifeless puppet unless there's someone around you whom you can flirt? Do you feel that you're not really alive unless you're with your sexual romantic partner? Absolutely. Do you feel entitled to sex? Sure, not necessarily from the same person, but yeah, if I can't find it from one person, I'll find it from somebody else, right? Do you find yourself in a relationship that you cannot leave? Oh, yeah.
Isn't that what this episode's about? Kind of?
Right. Have you ever threatened your financial stability or stand in the community by pursuing a sexual partner? Yep.
Well, you did say that you would leave your job to go. You would drop everything.
Yeah. Everything. Do you believe that the problems in your love life result from not having enough of or the right kind of sex, or from continuing to remain with the wrong person? Oh, yeah. Have you ever had a serious relationship threatened or destroyed because of outside sexual activity? Yeah. Do you feel that life would have no meaning without a love relationship or without sex? Do you feel that you would have no identity if you were not someone's lover? Yes. Do you find yourself flirting or sexualizing with someone even if you do not mean to? Yeah, I'm kind of a flirt. I lost my spot. I mean, there are a billion questions, but yeah, it was, in going through all of these and pretty much saying yes to every single one, I was like, y'all, I might have a problem.
It's like, it's not like a flare gun that just went off. Have you ever seen one of those planes that, like the gunships, when they shoot out their countermeasures of flares? It's like hundreds of flares over a few seconds. That's what it sounds like. That was your kind of like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. And the thing for me was, even though I had, been active in, recovery meetings and, therapy and all this stuff, these issues, I really did not have a similar outlet for, right? And so I was able to find another type of 12-step program that has meetings that dealt with this stuff, and it was just really the opportunity for me to, talk to like-minded people, right? and like connect with them and be vulnerable and stuff that I really didn't want to be vulnerable with. I remember one person in a meeting was sharing how like she would stalk somebody, and I was like, "Oh my god, you stalk people! I stalk people too!" Right?
Okay, that's not necessarily the healthiest thing to bond over, but cool.
But like, I mean, granted, also I'm just talking like one individual person, but I mean, still, just to know that like I was not alone in doing that shit, that other people did it too, and that like it was behavior that I wasn't proud of and behavior that I didn't want to engage in anymore, and talk to someone that's been there before with that, like I suddenly became more willing to be vulnerable and open up with people on like a totally different level I really did not want to, right? And I really do credit that with kind of getting me to a place where I kind of am now. Certainly still a work in progress, certainly still crazy and probably always will be. And that's okay, you know, like.
I mean, we're fabulous, bro.
Yeah, but I'm never going to be perfect, right? Like, ever going to be perfect. And I'm okay with that. I think for too many years, I was trying to be someone that I wasn't, or someone that I thought other people wanted me to be. And now I'm finally comfortable in a place where, like, I can start being myself. As I've abandoned some of that shame, if I started to work through some of these issues, and just like how I relate to people, you know? I always had like not ill-conceived boundaries with people, except I didn't have boundaries. I had walls, right? Like I really had walls, and I've slowly been like slowly dismantling that wall and starting to connect with people, and also establish healthy boundaries. You know, like I'm less willing to do something now that's going to hurt me. As before, like, you know, I'm a rescuer through and through. Like, I'm Captain Save-A-Ho. Like, I'm going to jump on my horse. I'm going to go save your ass. And then we're going to ride off into the sunset, right? And so that's not how it plays out, right?
I'm thinking, I'm going to go save their ass, and then I'm going to ride that ass.
I'm going to pound the straight out of that ass.
Oh, God.
But, like, now it's like, okay, someone needs help. Can I legitimately offer that help? I'm like, no, I can't. It's okay now for me to be like, no, I can't help you. I'm sorry. And that's it. It's okay. Like, there's no longer do I have this fear that, like, oh, no, they're going to hate me and everyone, like, I'm not going to have anybody in my life. That's such a big fear of, like, abandonment. And that's kind of like this strange, like, cycle me and this guy got into. I would consider myself, up until I met this guy, a love avoidant. So like I really would like kept everybody like at arm's length and let anybody get too close. With this guy, I became a love addict, right? And so I just wanted not to just be with him, but I really wanted like us to merge. Like I wanted us to be one, right? And like I don't know what the fuck, right? So I was always chasing him, and he was always running away from me. And for me, it was the fear of being like alone, being abandoned. And for him, it was the fear of intimacy. However, when we kind of would like get to this weird point, those fears would flip. And so like when I would stay distant too long because I kind of had enough of his shit, then his fear of abandonment would kick in and he would pursue me, and my fear of intimacy would kick in, and we were just kind of doing this weird cycle with each other, right? Where we like chase each other and then run away from each other, and then we would connect. It would be like explosive, right? And then we just go over and over and over again. It was like exhausting, right? It just wasn't healthy. Like it was a not functional relationship at all.
No.
And like at all, right? And for me, a lot of it was just like wanting to feel needed, wanting to feel like not alone. You know, I just, you know, and a lot of it I learned from my parents, right? And so like in working through the love addiction, I've discovered I'm codependent, right? And codependence is like just being emotionally developmentally immature, right? Like my my brain just does not approach things in a functional way, right? And a lot of that stems from just like abuse as a child, right? And for me, I think there are varying degrees of abuse, right? Certainly, I don't consider myself like on the extreme end, but I think a lot of what I endured as a child, both with just feeling shame from being gay, and then just some abandonment from like emotional abandonment from one of my parents, like that kind of like fucked me up a little bit, right? And so now, in working through the love addiction, I'm starting to work on the codependence as well, and that's like the source of it all, so to speak. And so I'm trying to develop like just new ways of relating to people, right? And I'm trying to be like vulnerable too, like, here, let me show you my ugliness. Right? It's kind of pretty, right? There's some glitter in there.
It just had that whole thing. There's glitter in it.
All I can imagine is just black sludge.
With sparkles.
Yes, exactly.
I
Yes.
love sparkly things.
I don't know
It was like
why,
a
but
shimmer.
the sparkles I had in my head were purple. Like black sludge with purple sparkles. That's all I was seeing.
You mean like C's lights right now?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I love
them. Just like that.
I freaking love C's lights. Like, seriously.
Me too.
But I
They're
would like to point
wonderful. I
out,
love
so when I was working the 12 steps, I was working my amends. The first one I wanted to do was this guy, right? Because I'm like, I done fucked him over. Like, I gotta like, ease my conscience. I gotta let him know that, like, I recognize all the shit that I did and blah, blah, blah. I really just wanted an excuse, like, get in touch with him, right? And so my sponsor kept putting me off, like, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. I'm like, but I need to, right? And it wasn't until recently that I realized the best way of doing an amends with him is by doing a living amends. And by that, I'm just going to adhere to some stuff during my life to make it better, right? And part of it, it's two-pronged. One is, because forgot to mention, he got out of prison, right?
Oh, okay.
And he hit me up. And I was like,
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Yeah.
Honestly, at first I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I really was just like, I was on the phone with my best friend, and I got a text. At this point, I had blocked him, I had deleted his number, I got rid of his pictures, I got him off of my social media, I got rid of my social media. Like, I did the most, right? And things were good, right? Like, I was really kind of like content in this place where I'm like, maybe I can someday meet someone and like build something healthy. But I was just being able to like visualize it, right? It wasn't like I had anybody in mind. I was like pursuing anybody. I'm just like, no, maybe someday I'll be open to it, right? Because life is really good right now. And then he pops up. I'm like, fuck. Fuck my life. And I had my friend on the phone, my best friend. I was like, what are you going to do? I'm like, do not get off the phone because I don't trust myself to handle this on my own, right? Like, I don't know, like, I don't know what to do with this, right? And I was torn because, like, on the one hand, I could try pursuing this thing again for the umpteenth time, knowing that it's not going to end well and it's not going to be healthy and it's just going to go back to this regular same shit show. But it's familiar and I love him. Or I could pursue this life that I've been like living. Like, life has been good. So I was really pretty much like a major fork in the road. Like, go back
To the devil that you know.
Yeah, to the devil that I know, and to active addiction. Like, eventually, that's where that road's going to lead, right? Or do I keep on the track that I've been on right now, where I'm like working on these issues? Life is good. I'm happy. Like, going back to him, like, there's the promise of happiness that never pays out, like, ever. And then there's this one road I'm on where, like, I'm alone, but I'm okay being alone. Like, I don't need anybody, right?
That
Like,
is a
I'm
very
kind of
healthy
Right.
place to be.
yeah. Like, I'm very content right now. It's just me and myself and like my friends and like the friendships and relationships that I have. Like, I don't have a romantic interest or a sexual interest. I haven't had sex in a very long time. Squish, squish. Um,
Well, considering your addiction, that might be a good thing for the time being.
it was a total good thing. It was the wisest move that my sponsor ever like pushed me to take, and I'm glad I
A
took it.
chastity belt.
Right. It's got like a like a little trap on it. If you try to mess with it, it's gonna bite you.
Has a lock.
Like a bear trap.
Yeah,
Oh,
nope.
But I really just was at this point where like, I had to choose something, and and I felt ill prepared though. I'm like, man, I've been working on this for like weeks, and I'm like, I'm not strong enough yet. I was just like trying to beat myself up, like I'm not ready for him. I was supposed to be ready for him when he got out, right? And so I really just like, what am I gonna do? Like, I just felt weak. I just felt totally weak in that moment, just somewhat deflated. But I kept my friend on the phone, and I reached out to my sponsor, and he got back to me, and he was like, "You want to go have coffee?" I'm like, "Yes, let's go have coffee, right? Let me get out of this. Let me step away from this, and like get with someone that can like help me process this, right?" And so he talked to me, and he's like, "You really should block him." I'm like, "I know." I'm like, and then I did, and then I started thinking about it. And my sponsor's really good at like kind of doing like a trying to like a cookie on a string, like trying to lure you into doing things, right? He's like, every time he was like, stop talking to him, he's like, just for a month, just for 3 months, just for this. I'm like, I know what he's doing, right? But like, this is why I don't like trainers. Like 10 more reps, like, no, fuck you, I'm done, right?
Okay, how about 5?
Right?
Okay,
No.
I can give you 5. Okay, you got that 5. Can you give me another 3? Okay, fine, 3 more. Okay, now can you give me 2 more? 2. Okay, you just gave me my 10. Thank you.
And
You know what?
That's what my sponsor did. He was like, in 3 months you'll be at a year. Then you can think about talking to him. Then I'm like, fine. I'm like, I know what you're doing. You've done this like this whole time, right?
Yeah, but you're seeing the results, which makes you willing to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. If you didn't see the results, you'd been like, "Fuck this! I've been doing this for almost a year."
Yeah, and so I did, right? I was like, okay, and I told him like, I'm sorry, I'm not. Essentially, I said something like, I'm not ready to talk to you yet. I love you. Maybe something back, I love you too. And I was like, what? Actually, I sent him the text saying, okay, I'm not ready to talk to you. I love you. Hit me up on whatever date, right? 3 months from now. And then I closed it. I deleted the chat. I blocked him, deleted the chat, whatever. I didn't realize that like messages go to my iPad as well. And when I got home later for me and my sponsor, I got one last response that said, I love you too. And I was like, yeah. But it was kind of momentary. Like I was not like heartbroken much. I mean, I did cry, but I think I just cried for the idea of actually letting him go. Right?
Cried over what could have been that never materialized, and may never materialize. That's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, and so I was a little bummed about it, and then that's when I got to the amends thing. I was in a meeting about amends. I was in 3 meetings about amends, and I was like, hey, maybe I can do this amends. Because I wanted to do an amends with him for the longest time. My sponsor was like shutting it down. And then someone shared something that made me think, maybe the amends I'm supposed to do with him, and it's the amends that I'm going to do, is a living amends. And that's going to require me not unblocking him, keeping him blocked, and not reaching out to him ever again. And just let him live his life. Because during our relationship, all I did was enable him, right? And he enabled me. And so while he's currently clean, as far as I know, because of prison, if I put myself back in the mix, there's a very huge likelihood that I'm going to somehow enable him to get back into active addiction. And I can't do that, right? Like, I won't do that. And so
you're also putting yourself at risk of relapse too.
Absolutely, right. But just knowing that like I'd enabled him so long, thinking I was helping him, but I wasn't helping him at all. I was keeping him an addict, right? For my own selfish needs. I had to tone for that, and the way I can do that is just by like staying out of his life, right, and not risking doing it again. And then the other side to that is another thing I can do is just help other addicts, right? Like that's what I can really do to atone for the enabling that I did. Is even though I couldn't help him, wish I could have rescued him. Maybe I can help other addicts as they're seeking help in their active addiction, as they're seeking help in recovery, you know? Maybe that's something I can do.
So you're thinking about maybe sponsoring someone?
Yeah. And actually, so I have actually been able to sponsor for like a month and a half, 2 months now. No one's popped up. A week after deciding to do this, I have a potential sponsee that I will probably confirm tomorrow will be my sponsee. And so no sooner am I willing to like, you know, really like affirm my dedication to helping other addicts than an addict has presented himself for me to help. And like, that is just like,
I've been provides.
Like, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like a higher power has a way of reinforcing decisions sometimes. I'm certainly always been of the opinion of like, the universe speaks to us all the time. We just don't pay attention to it. And this, you know, this situation, this, you know, guy, this, it really happened yesterday. Like, you know, someone hit me up and was like, hey, I got this guy that's looking for a sponsor and I thought of you. And I was like, huh?
Wait, you mean I'm not such a hot mess anymore that I can't be a sponsor?
Oh, no. I am a hot mess still. I will always be a hot mess.
You're a self-aware hot mess.
Yeah. And I'm aware that everybody else is a hot-ass mess too.
Yeah.
Right? That's the secret.
And just looking at it just from, you know, an outside perspective, by taking on the role of being a sponsor, you're also reaffirming to yourself your own dedication to your staying on track because you're now a role model.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I can do for a sponsee is just share my experience, right? Like, I don't even think of it as much as being a role model, as much as like, this is how I've made it to this point. And here are my suggestions based on my experience for you to make it to this point and beyond, you know? Certainly it's going to be, I think, a big test for me because I am by nature a rescuer, and certainly this has the pitfalls, right, of like getting into like some of that weird addictive behavior. But, you know, I think in doing my work on codependence and working on my boundaries and creating like real expectations of like, you know, life and like other people and like the roles and my role and like just, you know, reality, like I think I'll be okay, you know? It's certainly something I'm definitely probably going to struggle with, and probably struggle with for the duration of my life. But, you know, it's possible. Like, you know, it's possible to have healthy relationships with other people.
It is. And Avani did actually put down a comment a while ago. We're just waiting for a good time to jump in with it.
Oh, Lord.
All right, who wants to grab it?
I don't think I can see it.
Are you talking about the 11-minute ago one?
Yeah, the one from 1859. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. Yeah, he's such a wonderful, loving guy, no matter how apathetic he tries to be. I can't wait to see him once he settles down with the right guy.
I agree. You know, I've only known you since Tuesday.
Yes.
But
damn, I agree completely, too.
Agree. And actually, I have someone else hit me up on my personal text messages saying... No.
Yes.
This horse for you. Come on, guys. No, just kidding. Said, wow, I do feel for tonight's guest. And I said, this guy is all sorts of amazing, and I hurt for his past, but he's in such a better place now. That was me to them. And then they said, I'm so glad. The self-loathing was palpable. I wanted to simultaneously hug him and go into full-blown psychologist mode. Equating love, which is by definition a self-sacrificial action, with patterns of addiction is one of my many things I have a lot to say about. So yeah, you're resonating with some people here.
I love free therapy. I mean, certainly, just with codependence in my childhood and just some other stuff, I had ill-defined ideas of, like, intimacy, right? Like, just, differentiating, like, the difference between, like, sexual intimacy and just, like, physical intimacy and just, like, relational intimacy, the boundaries are so fuzzy in that I get them, like, cross-wired, if that makes any sense, right? And so, so I have a hard time with those boundaries with people, like, either I'm, like, too close or, like, way too far.
And so, like, wow. Yeah, because, like, I'm just sitting there thinking about my own life, and I am one of those, like, it's usually they say that it's women that have that when they sleep with someone enough times that they start to fall in love. That's me. That is 100% me. I sleep with someone enough times and I'm like, yeah, I love you. I have learned that I have to start separating that. Also, I have had a bad problem of having emotional affairs and not realizing I was doing it. Same thing. Yeah. The boundaries. I didn't have good boundaries. I didn't know. And it took some life kicking me in the nuts to catch that one.
So where do you think that all stems from?
God, I don't know. That's something I need to look into deeper.
Well, I know for myself, a lot of it was observational in terms of, like, the dynamics between my parents. I mean, honestly, like, when I first started reading these books about love addiction and codependence, and it was like, your parents, I was like, great, I'm another gay guy, seeing a therapist, whining about their parents, like, cry me a river, right? But, I mean, it kind of makes sense that, like, almost by osmosis, right? Are we, like, picking up things? Because certainly I think a lot of it maybe was not, like, demonstrated. I inferred a lot of things is what I'm trying to say. Like, sometimes I would see this behavior or that behavior and then connect it in my head, right? Like, just kind of screwy or whatever, if that makes any sense. Like, and I know certainly a lot of, like, the shame-based stuff came from that. And I think a lot of the codependent tendencies stem from that as well. Like, if A is A and B is B, then C must be this, right? Like,
right.
And it's not the truth. And I think I've also had a hard time, again, going back to the meetings and just getting in the practice of, like, talking about things that I'm uncomfortable talking about. I was never a good communicator in that regard. Like, yeah, I'll shoot the shit about anything, but, like, you start asking me about my feelings, I'm like, what feelings, right?
Right.
I got no feelings.
Yes.
Like,
well, one of the things I've been known to say is I don't love, I only hate varying degrees, and I hate my children least of all. But
I mean, true.
I hate some of the things they do.
Yeah.
But I genuinely love them, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I know for me, I tend to minimize things, right? So a lot of times now when I catch myself doing it, I'm like, no. I'm minimizing. Like, let me, like, really get uncomfortable and speak to, like, what the thing actually is, right? Because nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to, like, talk about their feelings. Like, I know, like, for me, there was a lot of that, real men don't cry. Like, real men protect the house. Real men do all this.
Right.
And it's like, but that's not healthy, right? Like,
Right.
Well, you
even
can
as a
do
gay
all
guy,
of those things. I mean, oh my god. Oh
It's
my
like,
goodness.
do you know why? It's like, do you know why men tend to have shorter life expectancies? Because of those things.
yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, what were you
It's
saying,
like,
Bexy?
Oh, I was just saying, it's like there are those of us out here who see through all of that, real men don't cry stuff. We know better. It needs to be more mainstream. It's okay for guys to have feelings. It's okay for a guy to cry if they're hurting or upset. I mean, don't make me read the poem again.
What poem?
Oh no.
The one that made me openly sob on the air.
Yeah.
Read it!
She's gonna get it.
Let me find it.
She's getting it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, no.
'Cause
Put it on the
it's been-
screen!
Read it.
I will put it in the chat and I will read it out loud. I just need to find it in my massive anthology of poetry that I write.
And then while you're doing that, Ivania threw out a great comment. I think the need for love was the need for validation. It was only
Absolutely.
recently that you came out to your family. You were looking for someone to love you because you weren't allowing you to love yourself. And probably on top of that as well, not only that, you weren't allowing people to love you for who you were since you were hiding who you were from them.
Yeah. You know what's funny that you say that? Like, so again, I like to say, like, I used to, like, present myself to whatever audience I thought wanted to see whatever version of me. I used to, like, inflect my voice a lot, especially at work. So, like, when you would call me, like, hi, like, I always, like, would drop into this, like, straight voice, and then when people would, like, really, right, and I would still even do it, like, in different, like, groups, right, like, just modulate my voice to whatever I thought was appropriate for that, you know, set of people.
So let me
And
guess,
later-
like your business voicemail would be like, "Hi, you've reached Robert."
Unless I was working the sex line, then it's like, hi, you reached Robert.
Oh,
Now all I can think about is, hi, I've called to talk about your car's extended warranty.
Oh. I got 2 voicemails today. They actually left voicemails. You need to call back urgently. We're about to close your case on your car's extended warranty. I love it when I actually decide to answer them. I'm like, but I don't own a car.
Oh, fucking with them is the best.
I have fun with so many telemarketers in my life. I have so much fun doing it.
I found it.
Oh God, here we go.
Oh no. Read
I-
it.
Okay.
I am shielding myself.
Yeah, be strong, bro.
I think I might just take
Yes,
my
bro.
headphones off. Just wave at me when you're done.
That's fine. Go
You'd be
ahead if you need
surprised.
to.
At how many times a man sits in his car, on his bed, in the bathroom, or in the living room and holds his tears in because he's stressed or lost or confused or hurt and ready to give up. But when he shows his face again, he looks perfectly fine, unbothered, and he still manages to smile and go about his business like nothing happened. Men are some of the most resilient, overlooked, and in my mind, underappreciated to go through so much. So can I speak to your spirit for a second? You are the glue that holds everything and everyone together. Your very presence is power, and when you speak, it resonates, yet your silence is deafening. And all that you go through as you fight for not only who you are, but who you are striving to be, just know that I see you. If you're a man and you're hearing this, I just want to say I appreciate you. When you can't win the day, just keep winning the moment and know that I see you. It starts from the inside out.
That's beautiful.
Damn it. At least I'm not sobbing this time.
Well,
God damn it.
it's
Yvonne, you just totally... I fake orgasms when telemarketers call.
That's
I'm
a
not sure she
great
fakes
way of
them.
getting them back.
I one time pretended that I was not like mentally like I wasn't like I was cognitively impaired. So in the middle of whatever they were saying, I would just blurt out the most random things like, I have a gecko. Like, excuse me? Just random ass shit.
Well, getting back to the voice
Next
thing
time.
real quick.
just put your toddler on the phone and tell him it's Santa. Works wonders for me. I do it better.
Oh, yes. I am so doing that.
I was gonna say lately, I feel like I've been using like my voice, like my authentic voice. Like I don't know, like I don't really feel like I like change it anymore. I don't know what's really changed in the past couple of weeks besides all that shit with that guy. But like, I just feel like more comfortable being myself, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like I guess and it's weird. Like as I've moved, can you kind of speak? I forgot what somebody said earlier about like this is like this pre-dementia brain fails me. But like somebody said something earlier that really caught my ear about what was it? Just not being able to see things. Maybe it was you, Bexy. Maybe talking about like guys and just like, you know, being vulnerable. But like I know for me, you said something about seeing things in people. Right, like things were so clear to you. I think maybe with other guys, like vulnerability or something like that. That's something like
I think I remember. I think I remember what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I know for me, I couldn't recognize these things in myself because I was still shrouded in whatever, whether it was shame or fear or whatever. And I started to confront those things and start doing work on them, and like they started to disappear. Then I was able to start like recognizing it, right? I know, like for me, and like the shame of being gay, I did an amends with my parents, right? And doing the amends with my father, and him just validating my existence, and like saying it was okay for me to like be gay. It was okay for me to like meet somebody. It was okay for me to bring them home. And hearing that from my dad, like the shame started lifting in that moment. Like it really did, right? Like, and so a lot of like the insecurities, a lot of like that baggage I was carrying, like it just started to like dissipate. Like it's still somewhat there. Like by no means I'm like, I'm over all that. Like I'm not, right? But like it was able to lift enough where I could like see it for what it was and start moving in different directions, right? And start being able to like recognize in other people too, right? I think that's just the beauty of working like a 12-step program in general, whatever 12-step program. Like it just gives you the opportunity to like face your resentments and your fears, confront them, and like let it go, like breathe it into existence by sharing it with another person, and then making an amends to people for the things that you have done. Not an I'm sorry, not an apologizing, but really just kind of like admitting to someone else, like, yes, this was real, right? Like what I did was real. You know, how can I make it better? And then just, you know, listening to their perspective of what you had done to them and taking that in and just seeing that, right? That's been such a gift, you know? And then for me, you know, potentially working with a sponsee, still not 100% yet. I'll find out tomorrow. I get to go through that process again through somebody else's eyes, you know? I think that's what the beauty of it is. It's like, I get to go through it all, but like with somebody else. I get to guide them through that and give them that gift that's been given to me, right? It's just, I mean, it's such a beautiful thing, right? Like just, again, the whole process, the whole journey so far has been like, it's been like just a dynamic shift in my life. Like, I'm not doing drugs anymore. I'm not fucking random people anymore. I'm not like fantasizing about like fake relationships and shit. I'm not cyber stalking. So that could at times be fun, right? Like, no lie. Like, I wonder what someone says. I'm gonna go find out right now.
Right.
I've abandoned social media, and like life is just like, there's just no like drama anymore. I mean, no, it's not true. Like there's still drama, but like I'm just better able to handle it and just resolve things, you know?
That's awesome. And yeah, I definitely see that social media, it's
evil.
It can be. It really depends on
Yeah.
you know what you're doing and how you're using it. You know, like if you're just using it just to say to keep in contact with friends and family, and that's it, it's a wonderful thing. You start digging into it, oh man, it is a toxic cesspit from hell.
Oh
You're
yeah.
getting banned for 30 days at a time.
Yeah, I made it 40 hours this time, and I'm back in prison. And I'm back in jail again.
You're back in Facebook isolation.
I am. Like, every time that I'm about to come out, it's like that Jack Nicholson with the shit-eating grin going, yeah, every time I'm out, oh yeah, I'm rehabilitated, I swear.
Yeah.
It's like, you think the last 7 30-day bans did anything? What makes you think this 30 days is going to change? This is insanity. I'm not going to change.
They don't realize that yet. They'll just keep on doing it.
Right? And then Ivania said, I want to hear Rob's straight voice. Then she said, read something, and then read it in your phone sex voice.
Alright.
Oh, you're going to ask
Read
questions
a
on the
grocery
questionnaire?
list.
Find something. Oh, more from the questionnaire, should I?
No, I was just going to say, you could do something from the questionnaire, all in straight voice and phone sex voice, because it'd be kind of funny. You could also do the, has anyone ever really been so far as to do look more like? The troll question.
What? Have you ever thought that there could be more you could do with your life if you were not so driven by sexual and romantic pursuits?
Wow, you sound so nasally and kind of throaty that way.
Have you ever thought that there might be more you could do with your life if you were not so driven by sexual and romantic pursuits?
Okay, so...
ASMR. It's like ASMR.
Alright, so, I gotta share this now. My dad had
Oh no.
my mom was in the living room with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, and my dad was needing some help setting up on his phone to be able to see his camera, like he has security cameras from his home when he's outside the house. In order for me to set it up, I needed to know what IP address his router had, and I knew that he always had his speakers on his computer and he always had them turned up. So I went to moanmyip.com, and it came back with this total, like, your IP address is 67.239. Just like, and I just hear in the background, what the hell are you watching in there? My dad's like, you asshole, I'm in so much trouble now. Like, if you haven't checked out Moan My IP, you should. It is hilarious. I love that it exists.
Oh my god. And now we know what your
man.
voice sounds like.
I wasn't really trying. I was playing around. Ivania said that she was aroused after you, though. I need to practice it first.
But in her defense, she's always aroused.
That is true. I don't know if she's going to take offense to that or be like, hey, I resemble that remark.
Probably a little from column A, a little from column B.
Probably. Although knowing her, now that we've said that, she's going to pull from column C, which we haven't defined yet.
I think it's... Can I say that word?
What word?
See you next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we have the explicit mark. Yeah, I've dropped the F word a few times.
I did
I
too.
don't know. For people who don't like the cunt word, that's column C.
Like, me personally, that C word, I only reserve it to be used in the most appropriate of situations. So it's like
Yes.
one of the worst words I could ever think of to use. Yet, Australia and England, it's a term of affection.
Yes.
It's like, what you doing, you cunt?
You know what I found to be like
I
the
have
most...
many Aussie friends who initiate a conversation that way.
Or like, hey, when you bring your pizza, when you deliver the pizza, just yell, "Oh, you cunt!" to the window, and I'll answer it.
You know what I found to be like the most disturbing word to the female population?
Moist.
Moist.
Doesn't bother
It
me.
doesn't bother me.
I don't know why.
I don't know why. Oh,
What's wrong
Ivania
with
just
being
said,
moist?
Ivania said with periods between each word, eat a dick. Well, obviously she's not talking about me. It was definitely for you. Oh, then she goes, oh, wait, you can't, but I can.
And how?
And then Ariel just said, just some people it fits for. There are some people where that C word fits.
I'm thinking of a certain toady person.
I'm thinking of Ivania.
No, I would never call her that. I would never call her that.
It's not her.
No.
He knows who I'm talking about.
I have a cousin who deserves that title.
4 has an X that deserves that title.
Oh, definitely.
I wouldn't call my ex that Ivania hates that word, but she might. I'd call her just about everything else.
There are worse things.
Yeah. Yep, she just said, like, E's ex. There it is. Yeah, like I said. No, honestly, her being in my life nearly completely cost me my friendship with Ivania. And you know how great and loyal a friend Ivania is. I became extraordinarily toxic. I mean...
Like, in what way? It was like...
There were no boundaries for anything that I would say. There was no filter, like, at all. And I tried to make light of literally everything, even the most serious of things. Even things that you're very sensitive to. And Ivania was very vulnerable to me, and me being that person that I was at the time, I cracked a joke, and it stung to her core. And this was back on MySpace. Just to give you an idea.
Wow.
Yeah, and she had changed her song.
I miss him.
She had changed the song on her profile to the left. You know, and it was actually for me. And if it wasn't for the fact that I happened to catch her online, and I was having what I would call a lucid moment. You know, this very toxic person wasn't around me at the time. I had a very, very serious heart-to-heart. And I realized just how fucked up my whole life had become being with her. I was not addicted to alcohol yet, but I was I was towing that line. Same with muscle relaxers. Yeah, it was bad. I had lost touch of reality itself. I had my car repossessed. I barely saw my kids. I went homeless with her. Yeah, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And then, yeah, I cut her out of my life and built back stronger. You know, I'm married now 11 years, homeowner, have 2 more kids. The funny thing was, the day that my baby girl was being born, she's now 6. Like, we're in the hospital, and we're inducing labor, and we were getting to the point where it's like, okay, we're getting ready to call the doctor in. I get a notification on my phone. I look, and it's my ex trying to add me back in on Facebook. And I'm like, not today, Satan, but after the baby was born, got a picture of me holding the baby, put that as my profile picture so she'd have no choice but to see it before I blocked her. And I waited 3 days to block her just to make sure she had time to see it. Yeah, no, it was really bad with her. It was really, really bad.
Well, sometimes you gotta get to the bad stuff before you get to the good stuff, you know? Sometimes you gotta go through some shit for you to, like, really recognize what you really want.
Yeah,
you know?
And I've learned that everybody's rock bottom is different. It's like, I thought I hit rock bottom. No, I hit a floor and just fell through it and was going down to the next floor. Lost my car. Is that rock bottom? Nope, keep going. Homeless, is that rock bottom? Nope, keep going. It was... Yeah, my rock bottom was pretty deep. And like I said, I'm not trying to minimize anybody else's. Everybody's rock bottom is fucking miserable. It's called rock bottom for a reason. And just because mine left me homeless, I wasn't addicted to anything. I was able to, I quit drinking, quit the muscle relaxers, just quit cold turkey. Never had a problem with it. I was very lucky. I didn't detox or anything. I was lucky. Very lucky. I felt the craving for alcohol. I still, I'm pretty sure that you could classify me as an alcoholic, but I've learned enough control. But if there's alcohol in the house and I know it, other than wine, because I can't fucking stand wine.
That was my favorite.
Oh, God, I hate wine. I've tried to like it. I've tried to like it. I like some rosés, but I really can't get into it. I'm more of a hard liquor and beer person.
You're just trying the wrong stuff. As someone that's not drinking anymore, I should probably shut the fuck up.
I don't know, man. I went to the Kitchen, which is this amazing restaurant. It's a hidden gem in Sacramento. It should have a Michelin star, at least one, maybe two. But the Michelin people don't come into Sacramento because there's too many Taco Bells. Fucking stupid.
I love Taco Bell.
Yeah, just because there's a lot of Taco Bells doesn't mean that everybody here doesn't like really good food. This particular kitchen, they don't turn over tables. It's one seating a night. When you're in, they lock the doors. No one else gets in. It's 7 courses. They're all smaller courses. You're allowed to wander through the kitchen. You're allowed to help them prep. You're allowed to help them kill the lobsters, scale the salmon, whatever. They always have a steak course. They always have a salmon course. They always have a sushi course. The other courses are whatever's in season. And it's always farm to fork, locally sourced when possible. And they pair every course with a different wine. And yeah, I tried it with the Wine Flight. And yeah, there was a couple of wines I enjoyed a bit. Some of them I really didn't. But holy shit, if you ever come to Sacramento and you get the chance to go to the Kitchen, it's $135 a plate, but you're going to be there for 3 to 4 hours, and it is a lot of food. Of course, you don't get the wine. Get the water. But no, it is. And also the sushi, you get real wasabi, not the horseradish that's dyed green.
I mean, for $135 a plate, I better get a happy ending too. I'm just saying. Okay?
Well, I went there for my my first anniversary. I got a happy ending, just not from them.
I don't know about her, but
yeah. No, but honestly, they will let you have seconds of courses if you want. You can skip a course if you want. If there's something that you want to change about it, like can you make it just a little bit warmer? Sure, no problem. Can you leave this ingredient out? Sure, no problem. Like they just don't care. They're the, as they call it, they're the unkitchen or the unrestaurant. They want you to feel more like you're at grandma's house. You know, plate after plate after plate after plate. Grandma's house. It was amazing. And now we got the whole thing going in here. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Ivania's. I called her that regularly about my ex. And her ex. Yeah. Yeah. Ivania's ex. Yeah. Deserves the C word.
Yeah.
Yeah. After everything, yes. Somewhere Ariel came up with "We Love the Petty." Yeah. Somewhere I don't know exactly where because I was monologuing a bit. Mine was delivering Christmas presents. Then Ariel said,
I think that's when you were talking about rock bottom.
Delivering Christmas presents is rock bottom? There's a story there.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
Then Ariel said, I think that's why it's called rock bottom instead of specifics like homelessness, lose someone, etc. And then there was the debate. Ariel, wine is gross. Ivania, I'm a red wine whore. And a whore on red wine. You're just not drinking the right wine.
Me thinks she's
No, you're not
just
drinking the wine right.
Oh,
The
and
right
Ariel,
wine.
that was to the
You're not
Facebook thing.
drinking the wine right.
Yeah. And then Ariel's all, that was to the Facebook thing. That was about the We Love the Petty. Yeah, I didn't even think I deserved it this time. I thought it was like, okay, well, I voiced an opinion about the current governor and banned. I was like, really?
Gone.
I've said so much worse. I've literally posted memes saying deliver stool samples to politicians and gave their addresses. And I didn't get in trouble for that. That I should have got in trouble for.
I feel like we might be minimizing what the statement was. What exactly was the statement?
I literally just said F Newsom, but I spelled it out.
Really?
Yes.
They just want to lock you up, man.
Yeah, I've said so many really over the top things that have gotten me 30 days. I think that I'm just on the short list now. It's like, did he say anything even remotely offensive? Yes. Boom! Done.
Maybe there's like a fuck quota. Like, you don't see fuck so many times with like a certain amount of days. You just like hit your quota and you're like, oh.
I don't know. Maybe.
I've also abandoned Facebook, so what do I know?
Yep, and then Vanya said, yes, Christmas presents was rock bottom. I went around delivering them with the intent. Yeah, I remember this now. With the intent of taking my life once I was done.
Yeah.
I remember that. I mean, it just doesn't quite have the same ring saying, joy to the world, Vanya's gone. It really doesn't have the same ring. Let's not make that a thing. Be more like, woe to the world. Let's be honest.
I much prefer the jingle bells, ease gas smells from 50 miles away.
Hell, I've even made my dogs run out of the room. Wow, that was another really long tangent.
But you know, like, to Vanya's point, like, best things happen when my plans don't come to fruition, you know? Like, my plans are always shit, right? And when things go off plan is when, like, beautiful things happen.
Agreed.
Because, again, my plan was to get back on the meth bandwagon. That was plan A, and we did not go with plan A, and I'm so grateful today that we didn't.
Yeah, I wound up in
I'm glad.
I was wound up in a county 5150 tank, and they were going to do 72 hours against my choice because, yeah, the police brought me in. They kept me there for 20 hours and then cut me free, and I went home with the intent of finishing the job, even though I promised not to. But I came home to a clean house, unpacked. When I left, it was still packed because I had just moved in to the area from Southern California to Middle California. And yeah, that having my house unpacked and looking nice and clean, I went and voluntarily checked into another place for 72 hours, and then I just slept. And then after that, I wound up doing the IOP. And then I met the ex that that Vanya really hates. So yeah, you would think that attempting suicide, legit attempt, and being in a 5150 tank would be rock bottom. No! That was knee deep. And Bexy just said what I think we were all saying. I'm glad you're still here, Vanya.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm glad, Robert, that you didn't go down that other path. I'm glad to see you here.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking to you. You'd probably be... Who knows where you'd be?
You know, for sure. You know what? It's when I abandoned Facebook that I reconnected with Vanya, and that brought me here today. Like, because when I got on Facebook, and I was like, and literally, I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm disconnecting from every single thing that is an avenue back to the sky. And that included Facebook, right? And so I literally put up a message. I was like, I'm done. If you want to connect, just reach out to me by phone. Here's my number, right? So at this point, I already blocked it and got rid of him. And that's just my parting gift on Facebook, because I didn't want to, like, close the page down completely because that would just bring up a lot of questions. I was like, let me just go in, block him, post this thing, and then change my password to, like, one of those auto-generated ones, and then just, like, lose my password. That's what I did, right? So it's, like, there, but, like, I just don't have access to it, right?
Right.
And she reached out to me, and then we reconnected, and she's like, you know what? I've got a friend with a podcast. Like, you should really, like, jump on it, right? I'm like, okay. And yeah, here we are.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You never know what choices you make today. They're going to lead to different opportunities tomorrow.
Exactly. Another way of putting it, which was a great country song, God Bless This Broken Road.
Oh.
I love that song. I'm not a huge country fan, but there's a few country songs I absolutely love. And that's one of them.
One of my favorites is also by that band that sings that, but it's called Moving On.
That's a good one.
My favorite has to be See You Again by Carrie Underwood.
Ooh, good choice.
I think my favorite one is Don't Break My Heart.
Oh. Hey, if that's your favorite, that's awesome. As long as it's not Boot Scootin' Boogie. I don't like that one.
Too.
We have problems. I have to say my favorite country song of all, as corny as it's going to sound, it made me bawl my eyes out. Don't Take the Girl by Tim McGraw.
Yep, that's a good song.
I've heard that plenty of times.
And then Ariel just said Amazed by Lone Star.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah. There's some good country out there. I mean, it's definitely uniquely American. Country and bluegrass and jazz. Those are our contributions. And rock. Although, it's like we started rock, then the Beatles came and went, no, this is how you rock. We're like, God damn it.
They perfected it.
It's like, for once, we taught England something and they're better at it. Where everything else, England invents something and the whole world kicks their ass. Soccer kicks their ass. Cricket kicks their ass. You know, everything kicks their ass.
And I'm over here more of a Elvis fan than a Beatles fan, so.
Oh, I love Elvis.
Elvis, like, I didn't like Elvis as a kid. I got to really appreciate him later on. Of all times, when I was running karaoke, so many people would sing Elvis, and if you hear it enough, you're just like, damn, this is actually really good.
Most?
Well, like, I didn't know that, what's that song? It's going through my head right now. God damn, I'm going to have to look it up now. It's just, I mean, everyone knows Blue Suede Shoes is from him. You know, Jailhouse Rock, that's from him. You know, there's a few.
I like later Elvis, like some of his like more bluesy stuff.
Can't Help Falling in Love. I didn't know that was him.
Yes,
I
love
freaking love that song. And then it's like I went through the book one time. I'm like, well, let's check out how big the Elvis section is. Holy shit, it's huge. And for good reason.
I think it's the like South Park's take on In the Ghetto.
Anything South Park is awesome with me. So
Absolutely.
Every time I hear that song, I picture Ray Romano in his boxers vacuuming and singing In the Ghetto while he was vacuuming, and it's just like ingrained in my mind.
See, I just imagine Cartman going to Kenny's house.
In the ghetto,
Back to Chicago, another little hungry child alone in the ghetto.
And then Ivania, my new favorite is Dick Down in Dallas. So damn.
New favorite.
Yeah. Ariel loved Achy Breaky Heart as a kid. This, if I said, actually my favorite is She's in Love with the Boy, mainly because that's how my daughter got her name.
Oh, I love that song.
Oh, I love that song too.
Yep. And then Ariel also brought up Punk. That's another one that we invented and England just fucking took over.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
Of course, my favorite punk song, I know this is going to sound corny as all hell, Rock the Casbah. I love that song.
That's a great song.
I was a kid and I went nuts over that song. And I found out that Texas almost banned the band from even being able to film it there because they were punks. Like, literally almost disallowed the Clash from doing that video.
This is one of those songs for me where I will sing the misheard lyrics instead of what it really says. Because every time I hear it,
oh my God.
Lock the cat box. Lock the cat box.
Okay, if you want a great misheard one, look up, it's an old YouTube video. I mean, we're talking 10 plus years. The Yellow Ledbetter misheard lyrics guy from Pearl Jam. It's called Yellow Ledbetter. Oh my God, like I cannot hear the song without his lyrics now. Because the song itself is very mumbly and hard to understand to begin with. So it makes it really easy to mishear it.
I have found out that when you play Rock Band on the Xbox, You can mumble your way through any Pearl Jam song and get it perfect.
Yeah.
I have literally done that with Jeremy.
I was just going to say, at
especially
home,
that.
drawing pictures of mountaintops with him on top. Lemon yellow sun.
Arms raised in a V. Yeah.
Deadly. It pools of maroon below. That is such a great song, though.
It is a great song.
I Stand by Grave is one that Ariel just threw in. I refuse to sing the right words to Kissed by a Rose. That song is ruined for me for life because I worked at Thrifty's when Batman 2 came out and it was on the radio every hour on the fucking hour, every shift for 2 goddamn years. Oh god, I hate that song.
Everywhere for so long.
It's a beautiful song and I hate it.
It's kind of like stuck in my head.
It was
right
like
now.
when Robin Hood Prince of Thieves came out and that Bryan Adams, Everything I Do It For You was all over the place.
Yeah.
All you heard. Although I love that song.
Bryan Adams was probably the most prolific artist of his time period. Like,
oh my God,
seriously. That dude.
I have a deep love of Bryan Adams music.
Anything like overly dramatic like that, I just love. Like fucking Celine Dion.
You know, every scene is better when you put on My Heart Will Go On.
Okay, even I am like over that song after like the 1 billion time of listening to it. I'm like, I love her voice, but it's good.
Yeah, so my first marriage, I've only been married twice, so my first marriage, my ex-wife wanted her cousin to sing. Her cousin was pretty much destined to go to Broadway. Amazing singer.
Okay.
And we wanted her to sing, God, it was...
Macarena?
No, God, no. Fuck that song. It's a fun song, though. It was from Jewel. It starts with "Don't Tell Me I Love You," because those words cut too deeply.
Say I love you.
That's the one.
Those words touch me much too deeply.
Yeah,
We wanted that, and she was like, "No, that's too easy." So she decided to sing that fucking Titanic song when my wife was walking down the aisle. It should have been a warning. Our marriage went down like the Titanic.
Iceberg!
Then Ivania, overly dramatic. I would do anything for love,
Yes!
but I won't do that.
I'm
Well, I know
convinced
what
It's
he
butt
wants
stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm convinced he was talking about anal.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's butt stuff.
Yeah.
yes,
sure.
it had to do with a rhinestone covered phallus object.
No! God, no!
Yeah.
That just sounds unpleasant.
Yes, it
but
does.
I like rhinestones.
Well, I think you have different
Really?
proclivities than Meatloaf, though.
I mean, I guess it depends on which end we're talking about.
But for me, it's not Meatloaf, it's Robert Paulson. He will forever be Robert Paulson with his bitch tits. Please tell me you've seen Fight Club.
I think we established that I have not.
What was that?
I think we've established that I haven't.
Yeah, he's
we
in it.
talked about
Yeah,
that
that's right.
Tuesday.
That's right. Yeah, he's in it, and he's amazing. He's God. Okay, so this whole movie, it's like there's so many things that are like it's not central, but it's critical. Like Robert Paulson is not a central character, but he's a critical character. Just like the Fight Club itself is not a central thing for the movie, but it's critical. Even the soap bar, it's critical, but not central. The movie itself is weird. I love it. It's amazing.
It sounds meta.
It kind of is. It's a mind fuck, is what it is.
I
It
feel
is-
like a fuck.
Yeah, it is a hardcore mind fuck. I love it. We made C watch it, but C doesn't like movies.
Aw, really? See?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like sitting still for a long time unless it's staring at my phone.
You know what?
You know what?
You're gonna have to see in a theater for Rocky Horror Picture Show, one that allows the theater to get thrashed.
Oh, that is so much fun because I've done
I'm
that.
interested.
Yeah, because then you're not sitting there the whole time. There's scenes where you throw shit everywhere and like you thrash the theater.
And if you're new and haven't seen it in the theater before, they will make you get up and time warp in the aisle.
What the hell does that mean?
It's a dance and a song.
It's a dance.
Okay.
It's just a jump to the left.
It sounds very interesting. I would love
just a
it.
jump to the left.
Throwing shit. That
and then a
sounds
step to the
wonderful.
right.
You're either going to be like pleasantly surprised or severely disappointed.
Maybe traumatized. You know, you can tell a lot about somebody based on which movie they know Tim Curry from first. First movie that I've ever watched with Tim Curry was Legend, when he was Satan.
Ooh, yeah. That might be the first one I watched. Well,
because I mean, if you have Rocky Horror Picture Show, he was in that.
But I think of it.
Yep, he was in that.
It was the first movie I saw Tim Curry in, but my favorite Tim Curry movie is Congo.
Congo.
Really?
I loved him in Congo. I love the story, and he plays that backstabbing, sanctimonious ass really well.
Tim Curry's one of those actors, I think, you just name X role, he plays it well. He's just that guy.
Absolutely.
Like, where one of my favorite actors that I think is severely underrated is Tim Roth. He's just such an intense actor, but he's also very funny. He was... did you watch Reservoir Dogs?
No.
Shit. Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes with Mark Wahlberg.
I saw it, but I didn't care for it.
Because he was the main chimp. The really intense, pissed off, the head honcho chimp. Did you ever watch the TV show Lie to Me?
No.
Damn. Did you watch Pulp Fiction?
Yes.
You know the scene with the holdup and the diner with the honey bunny and all that, and then the Samuel L. Jackson makes the guy sit down at gunpoint and then share a table with him. That's Tim Roth being held at gunpoint. He's an amazing, amazing actor, but I think he's one of those ones that he doesn't go seeking out big roles.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking him up on IMDb, find out what else he was in.
Like, you will know him from something.
He was in Rob Roy, The Hateful Eight. Come on, give me the... Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, I've seen
That was a
that.
good movie.
That was a good one.
He was only in a few scenes. He was a butler. Selma. He was Governor George Wallace.
I can see that.
That's a great movie. Oh, that's a great movie.
And I'm looking at like his IMDb page. I'm like, his name's too familiar for me to have not seen something in him and like appreciate his, contributions.
Yeah, if you actually look him up just to see his face, you'll probably, if you've ever seen him in a movie, you'll recognize him. He has an unmistakable face.
Yeah, I recognize his face. I just don't know if I've seen him in anything. I think I've seen. We just talked about Reservoir Dogs, right?
Yeah. Like I'm
Wait,
not a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. Reservoir
I did
Dogs
see that.
is a must see.
I did see that.
And the funny thing is like I'm not a big Quentin Tarantino fan, but I've seen every one of his movies. And it's not even necessarily because like I went seeking him out. It's just, oh, someone decided to turn it on. Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Why not? And there's a few that I really liked. I like Jackie Brown. I like Pulp Fiction. I like Reservoir Dogs. I don't really care for Kill Bill. I know that he wants to do.
I love Kill Bill.
I know he wants to do Star Trek.
Yeah, no. As a Trekkie, no, he's not touching that shit.
I would be interested in seeing what he would do. to be honest. I would say don't make it canon. Make it a one-off and see what he can do.
Just don't let him cast himself in the movie.
Please.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my god, I love his directing. I love his movies. I cannot stand him as an actor. He's so annoying.
Ivania just said, now ask him about Drew Fuller.
See, Ivania and I connected over this little show called Charmed.
Yep, that's what she told me. And you guys didn't write just fanfic. You guys actually tried to get episodes.
Do what?
That's what that's what I was told. That you guys wrote fanfic, and that's at least I know that Ivania. I don't know if maybe it was with you, but I know that Ivania did submit at least one episode to try to make it into an episode, and then they fucking ripped it off.
Which episode?
I don't
believe I helped her in that endeavor.
Ariel just brought up Death Proof.
Death Proof was good.
I can't say I've seen that one.
I don't know it. I don't know a lot.
So, tell us a little bit more about the whole thing about Charmed and how you guys started to get to know each other. I like these kinds of stories too. I mean, it's not necessarily the same with the podcast, like what we were doing before. But come on. Ultimately, this is about human interest stories, and this is a story.
Well, it was Love Charmed. The actor was really cute. I was like, if you got a cute face, I'm gonna be like more into this show than like if you were kind of bugged. And so yeah, I think it was like a chat board, like it was drewfullerfan.org, I think. I have not thought about this in like a billion years. And I want to say there was like one of those like add a story threads, or like I don't even know who started it, but like someone would like start a story and like someone would like follow it up with a sentence. And so I think that's how we like got into this friendship. Yeah, I think that's pretty much like the gist of it, right? And they're like just mutual admiration for the show Charmed, which I'll admit I was ashamed of my love for that show, because when I look back on it, I'm like, man, that's like some really shitty writing and some really shitty production values. But then I saw the reboot and I was like, man, this reboot's really shit. I'm like, that like original series was like far superior to the shit show they're trying to like, sell now.
They do that with a lot of series, I find. They massacre it.
Yeah.
Tons of shows.
So Ivania did say that, no, it was just me, and the ripoff was the entire last fucking season.
Which was shit writing, so it makes me like question her writing skills now.
I didn't say it.
Oh, no.
Actually, yeah, it was a shit. That last season was shit. But I think the production values were more shit than the actual writing. Because the whole season was like centered in magic school. I repeat, magic school. And it was not Hogwarts, okay? It was like one set that they used over and over and over and over and over again.
Like, hey, we have this set. Yeah, might as well use it again.
Right? In fact, let's just put the whole show here.
Well, like, okay, so if you ever watch Supernatural.
Yes, I love that show.
For so many seasons, every fucking hotel was the same set with different decorations, and sometimes they switched the angle. It's like, God damn it, it's the same fucking room!
But it was not
always.
The whole episode was not based in that one room.
Right.
In Charmed, it was like everything involved that one room for the entire season.
Oh, that's awful. It sounds like they got their budget slashed, and they're like, we gotta make do with what we have.
Yeah, it's like, go outside. Go somewhere where that's like free. Figure something out.
Going outside isn't necessarily free. Because you can be disruptive to traffic, you have to get zoning, you have to get permits, you have to do it during the right kind of lighting. If it's overcast, it can make it difficult. You have to,
You don't have to. You just want to, right?
Well, I'm going from the music. Okay, so in a past job, I did help out working with supporting movie studios and documentary filmmakers and small filmmakers, all that. From major studios to, like I said, little independents with their video editing software. And trust me, these people love to talk. Especially the documentary filmmakers. They want to talk. So you wind up spending half the time talking to them about everything under the sun, and the other half of the time you sit there trying to fix the problem. I was one of those that was good at being able to type one thing and say another. So I was able to actually kind of burn through it. But yeah, it is, from everything I've been told, it is a nightmare to try to film outdoor scenes because not only do people not cooperate, weather doesn't cooperate.
Yeah.
And then there's animals. Like the last thing you need is like, okay, this scene is looking great, and then a bird shits on the camera lens. Vanya just said, it would have been great if they did it right, but they changed it to make our shitty McShit. McShitty shit.
I will say, the one redeeming thing about that last season was, like, time travel. I just love time travel. Like, let's go into the past and change shit. Like, yeah, let's go to the future and change shit, too. Like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, I love changing shit.
So, a joke that I saw, it said it was Adolf Hitler. It was all art student. I swear to God, if one more time traveler comes back to assassinate me, I'm going to go ahead and start a world war. It's like,
I saw one where it was like Hitler's mom defending her child from a bunch of time travelers. Like, it's just murdering people.
No, when you start throwing in time travel, you inevitably get the time travel paradox. Like, where did it start? Like, if you go to the past to teach, or like if you go to the future to learn something to take back to the past in order to be able to accomplish something, okay, where does that start? Because if you didn't learn it from yourself, then you couldn't have accomplished this thing. So that makes it impossible for this to start. It's the time paradox. It's always inevitable.
This is why I enjoyed, like, in Voyager when they're like, just don't think about it, just go with it.
Right.
Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah, I mean, even Star Trek 6, The Voyage Home, when they went back in time and they screwed...
Well,
have you seen that one, that movie?
I've seen them all.
Yeah, I love... Computer. But yeah, there was a time paradox there without the blue whales and the giving away the formula for transparent aluminum. It's like, well, who's to say that he wasn't the one that invented it? Okay, well, you just created a time paradox. Who's to say he invented it and wasn't just given to him by someone from Star Trek, from the Enterprise?
Fuck it.
Yeah, you can't have time travel and not have a paradox somewhere. It's almost impossible to write it. Except maybe The Simpsons on the Treehouse of Horrors, because they really... I loved it when he like sneezed and killed everything. He's like, oh, this is gonna be bad. Comes back wealthy. His stepsisters are dead. The kids are perfectly behaved. And then he's like, oh, what about donuts? Like, what are donuts? Ah! Goes running back to go time travel, and it starts raining donuts. It's like, oh, look, it's raining again. It's like the perfect Homer world.
And then he finally settled, like, the lizard people, right?
Yep. He's like, good enough. That was the first Treehouse of Horrors, too. That was the first one.
Was it the first one?
It was the first one. Well, like, the pilot episode is when they got Santa's little helper. When Homer was mall Santa, Bart started getting the mom tattooed, had it lasered removal. And then Homer got his check, and they went to the dog track. And they were supposed to bet on one particular dog because it was a surefire win, because Barney was like, But he's like, no, it's Santa's little helper. If there's going to be a Christmas miracle, the dog doesn't even make it to the finish line. And that was the pilot. You would think that it was a Christmas special during the first season. No, that was the pilot episode of their own show. I mean, can you just imagine starting your, like, yeah, we're going to start our show Christmas holiday. It would seem like the worst time.
I mean, but like, how many successful Christmas-themed movies are there?
Well, define Christmas theme, because technically Gremlins and Die Hard and Die Hard 2 are Christmas movies.
Yes.
Nightmare Before Christmas is a Halloween and a Christmas movie.
Yes. And I mean, of course, you have all the traditionals, you know, like The Miracle on 34th Street and stuff like that, which gets remade and remade and remade and remade and remade and remade. Jesus
Massacred.
Christmas Story. So much movie.
Yeah, like, although there's been some pretty good twists on the Christmas Story, like Scrooged. That was a good one.
No, I mean Ralphie. A Christmas
Oh,
Story.
God, that's the best. They better not ever try to remake that one.
You know, the guy who plays who played Scott Farkas,
Yeah?
the bully. Yeah. He follows me on Twitter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Actually, I heard that he's actually a really cool dude.
he is.
Oh, puppy.
Meanwhile, the guy that played Ralphie, I have heard he is just a dick.
Chippy.
She's busy.
All right,
Hey.
so we've gone way tangent there.
Yes,
So-
we have.
Is there anything that you would want to share that maybe hasn't been mentioned yet? Because there's always something that gets skipped.
I don't know.
That's all right.
Yeah. I think I covered most everything, honestly. I think just, really just drive home the point, like, being able to discuss things, right? Like, just because I had, held so much in, and it was just, making my life so unlivable, so dysfunctional, really. And just, being able to just talk about it with other people and just get it out and just, purge it, In many ways, I kind of felt like doing that was almost like baptismal in a way, just, and then once everything was kind of out in the open, and being in a place where, didn't have secrets, didn't have resentments, just, being just kind of happy, I want to maintain that. I don't want to, perpetuate more shit, right? And so,
Yeah.
that's kind of my philosophy and things,
No, just that first time that we started talking, within minutes of talking, I just felt with the way that you're accepting reality, warts and all, and you'd spend a lifetime trying to hide from the warts and trying to gloss over them, put makeup on them, pretend they're not there, and like I said, using drugs and alcohol and sex and all that. That when you said, that you're how you're talking about just tackling reality as is, accepting it as is, playing your part, doing what you can, not sweating about the shit that's out of your control, I felt a huge connection. Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It is
It's
really
still
hard.
hard.
But once you accept it, it's even harder to go back.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like if you do Star Wars, once you become force sensitive, you can't just become unsensitive. It's there,
I'm glad you say that, because there are times where it's sometimes I wish I put my head back in the sand, so to speak, put my head in a hole and just be an ostrich, and, just pretend again, but it's hard to when right?
Mm-hmm.
It really is hard to go back. It just ignorance is kind of bliss, but once you have that knowledge, it's hard to, once you let the genie out, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
Exactly.
Once
Once the magic smoke escapes.
And certainly, there are times I still have those tendencies. I still veer towards relying on in the 12-step program, it's called your character defects. My therapist calls it my life skills, my skills that I learned as a child. that's what I'm comfortable. That's what I know. That's what I naturally like. And the natural inclination is to lean into those. And when I catch myself doing it, it's like, let's work through it, right? Let's get the courage to like work through not relying on that and doing something uncomfortable, like asking someone for help or telling someone no or setting a boundary or just doing all these other things, right? Because I have to practice it. Like I have to practice it every day. But like, practice doesn't make perfect, but practice gets you in the habit of doing it so that,
right.
It then becomes, natural.
Actually, Vince Lombardi actually said a quote that I really love, which is, practice doesn't make perfect, only perfect practice makes perfect. But perfect is not possible.
Yeah, perfect's not possible. That's God.
But yeah, you have to practice to as close to perfect as you can, because that's how you're going to perform. And what you were just talking about, changing those habits and having to work on it, it really brought me back to my last IOP, when I was with the Anxiety Treatment Center. I'm anxious and depressed, so that's fun combo. But about the cognitive behavioral therapy, which is like, you're used to taking that one path through the field, but that path leads you to a very unhealthy destination. But it's beaten down, it's worn, it's clear, there's nothing in the way, there's no weeds, no brambles, no vines, no nothing. No rocks to stub your toes on. You know that path well. But now you're blazing a new path through that field, through the tall grass. You're tripping up on the rocks. You're tripping up on the weeds. You're getting stuck by maybe the foxtails. But the more you work on walking that path, the more worn it becomes. The more automatic it starts to become. And your old path starts to get overgrown slowly but surely, to eventually to the point where it would be work to take that old path. And you would trip and stumble and fall and be like, this ain't worth it. Takes time, though. But I can see that
Takes a lot of time.
It does. And I mean, you said this has only been about a year?
Yeah.
You have 1 year versus how many years? But you're doing
even that 1 year, just reflecting back, kind of looking at different benchmarks, I'm like, I'm in a different place I am today than I was, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 3 months ago.
Right.
Like, just the things that were affecting me then don't affect me in the same way now, And so I can only imagine, like, what am I going to do the next month or, a year from now, Like, I just don't know, and I'm looking forward. Like, there's, like...
You're starting to see the results. It's like you're starting to see that new path is actually taking hold.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's taking you to a good place. And that's awesome. And I want to stay in contact with you so I could see this. Like, I really want to see this go.
A year from now, I'll be back with the progress report.
I'd say 6 months.
I was going to say...
some more shit to talk about Ivania.
I was going to say, a year from now, you want me to put you in the schedule now? I could do it.
Yeah, put it.
All right. We'll do that.
Yes,
we will definitely make it. We'll make it a year from now.
Definitely.
We'll have you come back next year. Or if you want, we could do it closer to your anniversary. Like, was it October 8th, you said?
Yeah, October 8th.
Okay.
Actually, a year from now would be... I mean, it's still the same general time frame, but like...
Right.
So, but that would be like a year without contact from this other person. It would kind of be interesting to be like where I am in terms of that, like that love addiction, really,
That would be awesome.
Like, at what point am I going to be like, who dis?
You get the call, you go, ah! Click.
Right. What do you want me to talk about? No!
So, if we did 1 year from now, it would be September 22nd. Or we could do like October 6th, which is the closest to your actual anniversary.
No, October 6th would be the anniversary of the arrest.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty significant life-altering situation. Like you said,
I mean,
that was where all your lies came crashing down.
Yeah. I mean, that just feels like kismet, right? I mean, I might be washing my hair that day. I really don't know. But
and
no,
Ariel just said something very profound. If one of you two want to take it while I schedule this. So which day you want? You want
Let
the 6th?
me see if I can see it.
Yeah, let's do the 6th.
All right. This is the first time we've ever done a year out. So
I just found it. I've got it. See if you want me
Okay,
to.
okay. I can't see it, so you
Okay.
can take it.
All right. Ariel says this story goes to further prove how addiction is not the substance or whatever word you want to use, and how it has much deeper roots.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Now, just for me, drawing the parallels between like meth and love addiction was like, really kind of profound. Like to understand that like these same obsessive compulsive like behaviors that I had towards meth, I'm finding in like how I relate to somebody else. Like that's not just, like it's not just the substance. It's your approach to life, kind of,
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that there is even though it's not a substance, I'm sure that there's still a chemical response to it, like, endorphin rush. That's addictive.
Well, yeah, and, kind of going back to meth, like, I don't believe I was, like, physically dependent on it, but it was a total mind dependence, like it was a psychological one.
And it's like, for me, a psychological dependency for me tends to be easier than like a physical one, but that's me. For you, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And you know what? They both suck.
Absolutely.
And it's like, just because I don't have the same effect with the psychological as you do, doesn't minimize yours at all. Yours is still completely valid. Just like you're not having that chemical side of it, like I have, doesn't minimize mine. Doesn't invalidate it. They're both valid. They're just different.
Yeah, I will say, several years ago, I was like a heavy smoker, and I think I ran out of stairs just in effect, I quit. Man, the cravings I got from that shit.
Okay, now that nicotine for sure has a chemical addictive.
Bitch.
Yeah.
No.
Even Ozzy Osbourne said out of all the drugs he ever did, cigarettes was the hardest one for him to kick. Out of all of them. And yet that's legal. Just let that brew. Definitely. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to be here.
Oh no, the honor's all ours.
It's a pleasure having you, bro.
That's all on all of that. The honor, the pleasure. It's all been ours. You have been an amazing guest.
You have been an amazing guest. Seriously.
Thank y'all so much.
Definitely, I agree.
And I'm looking forward to a year from now. Like already, I'm like, can we speed this up?
well, all in time, all in due time. It'll be a year before you know it. Yeah. And by all means, join us in the chat. Sign up for a free account on Spreaker.com. Join us.
I'm gonna have to pop in from time to time and.
I would love
where the conversation goes.
Yeah, and if you follow us on Spreaker, some people say they get alerts when we go live. Some say they don't. I'm sorry. I'm actually trying to
filter.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out another way that we could send out blasts, like an opt-in. I would prefer to do it through SMS if possible, because people are more likely to check their text messages than email. I mean, let's just be honest. I have 13,000 some odd number of unread email, but my text messages, I always have 0 alerts. I can't stand seeing something on my text alerts.
Same.
I can't stand my mail either, so I just don't show how many I have in my inbox, because it will drive me crazy.
Well, my Am I Mental one? Nice and quiet. I'll get a message here and there. I get a weekly, hey, we archive messages. I'm like, cool. But like my Gmail, fuck. Every few years, I'm like, you know what? Time to clean it up. Time to unsubscribe from a bunch of shit. And before I know it, I'm back to underwater again. I'm like, this is a never-ending battle. And Gmail used to be good at this.
Sometimes it's easier to just make a new email.
Yeah, but everybody has my email. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Or is that the problem?
It's everybody else that has it that I don't want. That's the problem. Everybody that I want to have it, if I changed it, I mean, not to be all snooty, but I got into Gmail back when it was invite only.
Wow.
Nice.
On your nose.
a billion years ago.
I was on
Just
Gmail
aged
before it was cool. I'm a Gmail hipster. Like the hipster memes. Hear your favorite song on the radio. Cry as you delete it from your iPod. Like Ariel. 21 Pilots. I know people that when they heard songs from 21 Pilots hit the radio, they stopped following 21 Pilots. I'm glad you're not one of them. But I know hipsters that did that. I'm like, really? You don't like him anymore because other people appreciate it. That's weird.
I actually didn't get into them until I met Ariel.
My daughter was the one that like got me into 21 Pilots initially. And then Ariel reinforced it. And Ariel's crying while drinking your craft beer from a mason jar. In a bar that's all raw wood with mismatched stools. If you haven't heard the song The Hipsters Are Coming by the Offbeats, you really need to. It is hilarious. Now, the guy, he's either New Zealand or Australian. His accent's really thick, and it's kind of hard sometimes to understand. But the song is brilliant. It is hilarious.
The hipsters are coming.
Yeah, also the song Anxiety. It's so relatable if you have anxiety.
Oh.
And one of my favorite songs that he ever did, and he never swears, but he's like, this time it's appropriate. Fuck 2020.
Seriously.
Seriously. And here we are in 2021, I'm like, it's different. I don't know that it's better, but it's different. Some areas are better, some areas got worse. It's different. All right, everybody, make sure that you give us a like, a follow, a heart, whatever it is. We will be back next week. God, do we even have a guest scheduled? I think so. We have. Oh no, that's right. We are going to be doing a live reading day. So if you want to submit poetry, writings, short stories, music, artwork, we're going to link it up with our Discord server. That way we can share it all together because it is International Podcast Day. So we're just going to make a thing of it. We did it once before, just kind of off of whim, and it wound up being one of our better episodes. It's the one I wound up sobbing on. Damn you, Betsy. But yeah, this is where
that's my fault.
Like a lot of us have creative outlets. And our creative outlets are largely due to the fact that we have these issues and we're just trying to cope. And yeah, so it's going to be an episode of just sharing the stuff.
That sounds awesome.
Yes.
What did I save the other day because it fit me so so well. I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, yes, that's me. I write because life has badly broken me, and this is the only way I know how to put those smashed parts back together.
Nice. For me, it involves a mallet and making them fit. I'm okay. I promise I'm okay. No. But yeah, seriously, and for anybody that's listening, even if you don't think that you have what it takes, or you think that your art or whatever that you do, because everybody's got some kind of outlet, even if you think you suck at it, share. You'd be surprised. You probably don't suck at it. You've probably been doing it for a while. You're probably better than you think. And we've had a number of people that did that, like, well, I don't know if it's any good, and they share it, and I'm like, reading it and going, oh, shit, this is great. Let's share this. So, yeah, by all means, everybody, do it. Go to mimental.net. At the top of the page, there is a Discord server link. That'll get you on our Discord. We have the art gallery. Share it there, and we'll bring it on the air. But until next week, I'm E.
I'm Bexy.
I'm C.
And we will see you next week. I know, I do that show too often. Whatever. Shut up. It's my podcast.